Hi there, I'm Jack Cluth from the RnR Initiative. RnR Initiative? Oh boy, that's a mouthful. You need to get a shorter name for that. Ravings and Reviews. That's a longer name. I messed up the intro.
You did mess
I
up
messed
that
up
intro.
the intro.
Gosh dang
Darn
it, Jack.
it.
All right.
Maybe I was just a little nervous.
You
You know
done did
why?
it.
Because we have a special guest with us today.
Yeah.
Would you like to introduce
Hello.
yourself?
My name on the interwebs is Icebane. I am called Noah Kushel, and I am the guest for today, where we will be covering Iron Man 2008.
Yes.
Heck
So
yeah.
we're starting a new series off since we have a new guest with us. Since this is your first episode of Ravings and Reviews. So, do you maybe want to give us a little background, like why you decided Marvel movies is what you wanted to go with?
I just found them fun to watch. They are quite enjoyable. I remember seeing this movie back when I was like 9 years old.
Yeah.
Holds a little nostalgia.
Yep,
Yeah.
nostalgia, definitely. I for one really like the Marvel movies as well. I have a pretty big nostalgia filter on these ones too. But yeah, I'm really excited to start off with. I mean, since this is technically like chapter 1 of like the Marvel Cinematic
Beginning,
Universe.
baby Marvel.
Baby Marvel.
The very first.
Yeah, and considering this is 2008, like wow, that's not that long ago, but
Yeah, we're getting up there.
we're getting up there.
We're getting old, Lauren.
12 years. Hey, we can't even say that.
No, okay.
Okay, so this is my first time watching this actually. I know of Iron Man. I know of Tony Stark. I know of all these characters, but there's like you got to always with knowing the Avengers, like all of them, but sometimes you skip a couple chapters in between. This was kind of how it was for me. Like I saw the couple of the later Iron Man movies, but this one I missed. So this was my first time watching it.
Yeah, when I first got to college here, Iron Man was one of the first movies that I actually watched.
Oh, nice.
And I hadn't seen it before that time, so this is my second time watching it. And yeah, like you, I've seen like probably 90% of other Marvel movies, and
Yeah.
there's just a few dotted here and there I haven't seen. So, yeah, but it was nice to come back and revisit that. When was the first time that you watched it? You said that you were 9.
Back
Did
when
you
I was
see it
9.
in the theaters?
It came out like in May, but I believe I watched it in like August before I turned 10.
Okay.
And I remember just flipping out when I saw it because, well, I was a kid.
Yeah.
And it was a very action-packed movie.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and now growing up and looking at it through a more, like knowledgeable mind, you really look at this movie and you're like, then look, I'm seeing this a lot more different than I saw it when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot more different details that you notice, a lot more character things that you notice, things that you probably wouldn't have been able to comprehend when you were 9, or I guess I must have been 7. I'm not sure, but
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
and an interesting effect that I'm just realizing now is that for me personally, I've been alive. There have been Marvel movies in my life for longer than there haven't been. I've reached a point where I've crossed
Wow.
over into Marvel is just like a staple. So it's almost kind of weird to go back and
That
look at
is
this
really
movie
weird.
before there was a Marvel movie every summer. Like
Yeah.
before it was such like an icon, powerhouse, massive, crazy.
massive, yeah.
Yeah.
For me,
Wow.
it's just a little over half.
Yeah. No, yeah, but as time goes on, we'll all reach a point that Marvel has been in our life longer than it hasn't been, which is weird to think about.
Yeah.
So
yeah, as a person going in from like kind of a backdoor way of looking at this, like I watched the Avengers, but now I'm going back and watching like the more individual like spin-off cinematic universe movies. It definitely feels weird to kind of come back and see all of this character development that was like kind of hinted at in the bigger Avengers movies, like Age of Ultron, and then obviously Endgame and
Civil War.
Infinity War. But it's weird to come back and actually look at the roots of everything.
yeah. Marvel's definitely progressed over its 12 years of
Oh,
existence.
definitely.
The movies that come out now are way different than this in
Yes.
basically almost every aspect. I think tonally they're completely different. The action is a lot more cheesy and cartoony. There's a lot more humor. Like even the visuals are way more. They focus on more colorful and bright kind of
Less
aspects.
product placement now as well because they don't really need it.
Yeah, that's true.
Actually.
We can talk about product placement a little later when we get into the plot and stuff, but
Yeah.
I think we need to talk about some of the technical aspects of it first because there is a lot that goes into a big action movie like this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, so this movie was directed by Jon Favreau,
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
produced by a lot of people, but one of the notable ones is obviously Stan Lee himself.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And written by Mark Fergus, among many others. And the two biggest actors that I noted were obviously Robert Downey Jr., Gwyneth Paltrow. There's also Paul Bettany, and then Jeff Bridges as well.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of big actors in this movie,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't.
Although, actually, just really quick, it's debatable whether or not, like, because Robert Downey Jr., how popular was he back in 2008? Now we know him as a giant movie star because of Iron Man, but I wonder how much, like, notoriety he had back then.
Did Iron Man put him on the map, or was he already on the map before then?
He was on the map for being, like, a cocaine overdosing alcoholic.
Oh, yeah,
And
that's
then-
true. That's true.
And
He
then
had that background.
And then he got rehabilitated and played Iron Man, so...
I mean, probably. I mean, definitely. I feel like he does this movie a lot of justice.
Oh, no, yeah.
RDJ is a legend.
No, don't get me. I'm not like complaining about him. He does a great job as Iron Man.
Yeah, if we could talk about Robert Downey Jr. for a second.
Sure.
He is Iron Man. Like
Yeah.
he is there. I don't think I could see anybody else playing this character the way he does. He's an absolute legend. He can be funny, but also super serious, and plays the character with just absolute perfection. And he just makes this movie so much better. Not that it was like bad by any means.
Yeah.
It's just an added bonus to watch this guy just be himself. Like I was confused, or I didn't really know how many of his lines were written for him and which were ad-libbed.
He does a lot of improv.
He does a lot of improv, which, yeah, that definitely tracks.
Yeah. What was I going to say? Never mind. You go ahead.
Sometimes he'd go on to a set and he'd just be eating, like, and then they'd work that into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like he'd do something like that. Or maybe later in his career.
And other
like,
times
yeah.
he'd walk on set and they'd give him things to eat. Very specific things, very noticeable brand things to
Oh my
eat.
God.
Like Ray's Pizza and Burger King burgers.
Yeah. I wanted to ask, if we're still talking like about the technical aspects of this movie, there's a lot of CG. Pretty much everything is CG. It's a Marvel movie, like superheroes. You're not going to get a lot of practical effects.
Anything with robots, except for possibly the Mark 1. I didn't check to see if the Mark 1 was CG, but anything with the robots would be CG.
Basically, yeah.
The Mark 1 was simple enough that I could see it being just something that they put on as a costume.
Yeah.
There's a few costume shots in the movie.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I thought that the graphics were really, really good. For being 2008, like, I mean, there were some, like, tiny little itty-bitty flaws. Like, I remember when there's a couple times where there's, like, someone flying into like, a background piece, and, like, and it just looks kind of off.
Yeah.
Like, you can't really pick out what, but you just know it's off.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, other than that, the graphics are not terrible at all for being as early as it was in, like, the era of Marvel movies.
Yeah.
Graphic-wise, I think it actually holds up fairly well. I think the
does.
suit looks really good.
The suit looks really cool.
The suit still looks just as great. You're right. The people getting flown back and like hitting like walls, that looks kind of goofy sometimes. And then a couple explosions I thought looked like really bizarre. But like it's just every now and again. But like we said, this movie came out in 2008, so I'm willing to give it a little bit of leeway. Yeah.
It had a budget of $140 million US and made a total of $585.3 million, so it turned about 4 times profit.
Wow.
I think do you think this is probably one of the most high budget movies that we've reviewed?
Oh,
on this
maybe
podcast?
that we've reviewed. Yeah,
I think so.
And
'Cause, like, I think
probably definitely that
only
we've
one
reviewed.
that would probably rival it would maybe be like Blade Runner.
Yeah.
or
If we
maybe-
keep going
or
with
maybe-
Marvel, it's going to get more expensive.
Well,
as we go.
obviously,
No, yeah,
it's
yeah.
just like with
Yeah.
the movies that we've reviewed right now. Like, I can't think of one that's. I mean,
No, I think
no,
Iron
Nate.
Man's,
Well, I mean, the only one that I think would rival it would be maybe either of the prequels, the Star Wars.
Oh
prequels.
yeah.
Maybe those ones, but yeah, no, we're getting a bit more high budget. We're out of the B-list horror movies. So
Actually, yeah.
we're getting into the big
I'm
big dogs
surprised
now.
that they were willing to give Iron Man like 140 million. Like, I don't think anybody cared about Iron. Like, not cared, but he was nowhere near as prevalent as he is now. I don't think so.
Well, I
That's
mean,
interesting
yeah,
to hear
we
that he
did-
got
yeah.
140 million. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
they also had all those product placements as well to probably help pay for it.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and not to mention this movie or Marvel movies in general have huge casts with lots of extras, lots
Yeah.
of civilians, and I mean especially a lot of the shots in this movie have a lot of extras. Like there's a lot of shots where they're at parties, or if they're on the streets of New
That's
York,
true,
or if they're in a foreign country as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No. 100%.
yeah, this movie does a really good job of basically just starting off your knowledge of Tony Stark. Because
I wonder if this movie had like performed poorly, or like even just not like exceeding expectations. I wonder if we would have gotten any more like
Ooh.
I
cinematic
read
stuff
some
after
like
that.
reviews from back in 2008, and they're like, "Oh, product placement central. I don't see how this is gonna go anywhere."
Yeah.
It had an IMDb score of 7.9, but Rotten Tomatoes and Google user reviews now, Rotten Tomatoes is 94%, and Google user reviews is 92.
Wow.
So it's
Wow.
like, it's almost like 10 more points at least to both of those than it is for IMDb.
Yeah.
I mean, the couple issues with CGI were really the only negatives I saw with this movie.
Okay.
I would say maybe there would be maybe a couple story issues, but
Mm-hmm.
maybe that was because like I was just kind of going into this pretty much blind.
Sure.
I obviously I knew the story of Tony Stark and like how like the arc reactor came to be and stuff like that, but
Yeah.
some of the other characters like Obadiah, I had no idea about him.
Yeah,
Like I did
right.
not know that
He's
he
only
was
prevalent in this film.
only prevalent in this film because
He's like deep
Yeah.
fried at the end of the movie. But,
basically
Yeah.
yeah. Noah, what are your like like just first general impressions? Like, would you agree with like the scores more of IMDb, or would you be more on the side of like Rotten Tomatoes, or would you be even lower than those?
I'd say it still holds up very well. I'd be probably more on the side of Rotten Tomatoes with a 94.
Okay.
Because, well, I think it holds up very well. I like the film and how it was done. There are a few things that are products of its time, but that's a product of its time.
yeah, it's
And-
2008.
Yeah. Nothing too major, but some little notable things. But other than that, I think it still holds up, and it still is a fun movie to go back and watch.
Yeah, I definitely had the first time I watched it, I had a good time watching it, and the second time I had a little bit less of a pleasurable time.
Really?
Not that I had a bad time, but just not as good as the first one. It definitely holds up. It definitely holds up still. There's nothing about it that's like you're watching it and it's like, wow, this was dated. At least not in terms of CGI. I do think in terms of story and stuff and like the way it's like kind of shot and lit, it really feels like a superhero movie from the 2000s.
Oh, absolutely.
100%.
I mean, it is. Like, it's
No,
not
yeah.
getting around that fact. Like, this is the origin story of Iron Man. Well, like a very, very prevalent figure in the Marvel universe. I
yeah.
mean,
I guess it made me appreciate the way that these movies have kind of come since all the way back in 2008, because I had a few more issues with this one than I would with like Infinity War or maybe like Guardians of the Galaxy. Not even in terms of budget, because I know that this movie didn't have as much of a budget as those two, but like just certain way that things are filmed and shot, and a lot of my complaints were story wise. I'm gonna be real with you.
Okay.
I have a few different critiques I'd have, but let's keep on a few more positive aspects of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
What else did you guys really like about the movie?
I'm gonna have to second myself from what I was talking about in some of the episodes that we were doing on Star Wars. The music of the Avengers is so stinking cool. Like I really like the music. Like they use so many motifs and they use it in different ways. I really like the music of the Avengers. Not even just of this movie, just like an overarching theme of music over a lot of the Avengers movies. I really like it a lot.
I like the Avengers theme quite a bit, but I cannot remember a single piece of music from this movie.
Well, yeah, there's not like you can remember.
Well, there's the Iron Man theme.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, no, actually,
there's a song that was playing in his garage, which is not very memorable, but
oh,
if you
yeah.
listen to the words that are being said, it's very interesting.
I remember Iron Man. I remember Iron Man by Black Sabbath being played at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you told me to, oh, Jack, hum the Iron Man theme, I'd be like, sorry, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah,
I could.
Yeah.
I thought,
Because we grew up with that in my school.
oh,
Yeah.
sure.
Well, maybe they're not the most memorable like tap your foot catchy kind of tunes, but
Yeah.
they still add a lot to the movie, atmosphere wise, especially when things are getting tense or when there's a battle scene going on. I really like it.
I personally have to disagree. I don't think the
Really?
music stood out to me at all whatsoever. I
Okay.
thought I didn't think it was bad per se. I thought it was just serviceable, and it never elevated itself beyond that.
Okay. Yeah.
In my opinion, yeah. Sorry, you didn't like the Swiss Army Man soundtrack.
No,
so
yeah,
I'm gonna.
we've been disagreeing on
Gotta be some conflict.
music for a lot of different movies that we've done recently.
Yeah,
Swiss
yeah.
Army Man, we disagreed.
Yeah.
This one, we disagreed.
Yeah.
We just keep disagreeing.
I think we can both agree the Tusk music was pretty phenomenal.
We're not going back to Tusk. Let's keep moving.
No, what do you
please.
think of the music? You said that you grew up with it
Yeah.
when you were a kid. So
There were some parody songs of Iron Man in the playground. I'm not going to sing them. But yeah, I'm sure that some people from that generation remember them. And the tune in general, it would be something that would be done with by humming and doing little vocal cues in the classroom and such.
yeah, that's funny. That's
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
I think I had a couple of those too when I was in school, but I can't remember any of them. I know they would use those like pop culture references to try to calm down the children because that's all they would listen to. But yeah. So I don't really have anything else technical wise other than some of the shots that were used. There are a lot of montages.
There are quite a few montages.
A lot of
yeah.
montages, and then I also noticed the they had a lot of the inside the helmet face POV shots.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a Marvel kind of staple?
I think
feel
it is.
I think that's where it started with that staple.
I feel yeah, because I don't see it in a lot of other movies.
Those still look good.
well,
Those
yeah.
still look really good.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely, the way it's lit and the way that it looks everything's playing out, on his face, in the lights. It looks really, really cool. Not saying it looks bad, I just, I mean, this is, we mentioned it multiple times, this is chapter 1 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Did Marvel start this?
Right.
I would say probably.
That helmet thing, definitely. Yeah, I'd say so. What did you guys think, tonally of the movie? Because I keep comparing it to present day Marvel movies, which I shouldn't because it came out so much more.
It was still in their experimental early phases.
Yeah, they were still testing the waters. But you look at a movie that comes almost all superhero movies now that are Marvel are really tongue in cheek, really comedy driven, really lighthearted. Whereas this is there's terrorism, poisoning or paralysis, espionage, lots of business deals going on.
A tiny bit of sexism.
A tiny bit of sexism.
Tiny bit of, yeah.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of that? How did the tone work for you guys?
I think it worked well for this movie. I mean, I wasn't really comparing it to other Marvel movies, but now that you mention it, thinking of some of the newer Marvel movies that came out, like Endgame and Infinity War, this definitely feels a lot darker in tone than some of those movies that tried to keep it at least a little bit lighter. They were still very dramatic in their own aspects.
Sure.
But definitely I don't think I've seen a Marvel movie since that has dealt with terrorism
Right.
or
yeah.
anything like that. So,
Which kind of movie do you guys prefer? Do you like these more like kind of gritty, realistic ones, which is what they were kind of working with in the early 2000s, or do you like the direction it's moved now to be more like
I like
kinda...
somewhere in between.
I'm gonna have to second that. Yeah.
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 Because like they both have good aspects in their own regards. Like there's like it's good to have some funny, some comic relief, you know, if there's like just to give the audience a couple laughs while they're in the theater.
Yeah.
But then also to kind of drive forward a dramatic story.
Yeah.
That keeps people interested as well. So like they each have their positives and negatives, and I feel like this movie balances it pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like there's an overabundance of humor or an overabundance of drama that just makes it that like teeters the scale, you know?
Yeah.
Well, the entire movie as a whole is supposed to show the tonal shift between Playboy Tony and superhero Tony.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I mean, Playboy Tony still kind of exists in
Yeah.
superhero Tony.
But he's a bit more responsible. And there's even a
Basically,
Freudian
yeah.
slip in the middle where he says that he's becoming more responsible, but he tries to cover it up by saying the company's becoming more responsible after saying himself.
Oh yeah, I did notice that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah. I have to say I do like the direction the new Marvel has come. I with superhero movies, I do like a more tongue-in-cheek approach. So going back in time and seeing when they were like trying to be super realistic and gritty.
Yeah.
I'm not as much of a fan of those superhero movies, apart from like the Dark Knight trilogy. And that was what popularized this, like, oh yeah, we have to make every movie like really serious, like it could take place tomorrow, and it's like it doesn't, with Marvel it does not work with me as much.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, if we don't have any more technical comments, I think we'll go to our first break and then come back and talk a bit more about the plot.
Sure, sounds good. We'll be right back.
All right, we're back.
Woo!
And it's time to get into the plot. So,
All right.
would you like to start us off? I mean, you do have the entire plot summary.
Yeah. Just a little footnote version of the entire thing.
Basically.
Yeah. Opens off with a convoy scene. Tony's just in the back seat. There are 3 soldiers with him. All of them are very quiet, and then Tony breaks the ice by poking jabs at all of them.
Basically.
And then once all of them open up, there's a woman that just scoffs at him who's driving the car, and he opens up with one of the first 5 lines in the movie, "Good God, you're a woman."
I think that scene really sets the tone for this movie. Like
Yeah,
that,
at least the
entire,
beginning.
at least the beginning, yeah. But I'm just more of introducing who Tony Stark is, like what kind of character he is, how he acts towards people, and then also how people act towards him too.
Right.
Like
and
the guys in there, they're like, "Can we get a picture with you?"
Yeah.
Like, you're
they
so
also
cool,
name drop
man.
like 3 magazines in that scene,
They
and
do,
also
yeah.
MySpace.
And also MySpace.
yeah,
Yeah.
actually.
I
And
better
then-
not see this on your MySpace account, kid.
And then the truck gets blown up. By
Yeah, and then it's
something.
juxtaposed by
Yeah.
hard violence.
So,
and-
which again, like, sets the tone. Like,
Right.
After reading
humor.
about it,
Boom.
after reading about it, evidently, if a military convoy gets blown up at all, they aren't supposed to stop. They're supposed to keep driving. So that was a little blunder on their part. Like, them getting out of the vehicle is completely against protocol.
Whoops.
Oh.
Sorry.
Yeah.
right after they opened up to Tony Stark, they were opened up by bullets.
Yeah. Which then moves into a flashback to like
Yes.
what was it, like 3 months?
3 days
or
later or
three
something.
days earlier.
Yeah.
Oh, also, don't forget that Tony gets blown up by one of his own missiles.
Yeah, that's right. He does like doesn't he have like a vest on, and then he like it starts bleeding?
Yeah, he has
Yeah.
like a suit on.
Yeah.
Spoiler warning.
Oh, yeah, spoiler
For
warning.
anyone, we didn't.
This is like the first 5
I was gonna
minutes,
say this
so
is
it's
the
not
first
that
5
bad.
minutes, but you are at risk for potential spoilers.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
Which, I mean, we do kind of say this for almost every movie. I would recommend this movie. I would recommend that you watch it, especially if you're really into the MCU, or if you just really like Robert Downey Jr. or like the character of Iron Man. I feel like it's a really good introduction to his character and like how he is and everything like that.
If you're already interested, or if you're a big fan of Marvel, then I'd say give it a watch.
Yeah.
Yeah. But as she was saying with the flashback, it cuts to 36 hours prior. They write that on
36.
screen.
Yep. Okay. And he's at a party, or I think.
Well,
or wait, no.
it shows a party, an award ceremony for him.
Oh, yeah, an award ceremony.
And then I forget his name, War Machine, he was up there presenting the award, and then Stain goes up and accepts it.
Rhodey?
Something like that,
Yeah.
Yes.
And Stain goes up and accepts the award for Tony because Tony's off gambling.
God, Stain.
Yeah.
Wow, I did not realize.
Obadiah Stane.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit at the beginning, but gosh, wow.
Yeah.
Obadiah Stane. I was not expecting that character at all.
What'd you guys think of his character?
I liked it. I mean, it definitely surprised me. Well, not really. I mean,
he was a military opportunist. He was going for any way that he could get money by selling weaponry.
Basically.
And he was Tony Stark's father's co-worker and assistant. So he was basically trying to control the company.
Right. Like, how do you think he worked for the story?
Yes, I think so, because of like his background with the Starks. And,
and how he was his father, or he was friends with Tony Stark's father.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he really is the dude.
And that's where it first hints at him being the bad guy, because, well, how else would other people get the Stark Industry weaponry if Stark didn't know about it?
Did none of you get that joke?
Which one?
That he really is the dude?
The Big Lebowski?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I was so excited when I learned that. I was like, Jeff Bridges is in the Big Lebowski.
Yeah.
I'm just trying. I'm trying.
No,
okay, I'm not the funny one.
I don't.
Jack's the funny one.
I didn't process it until you literally said it, but then I was like, oh yeah, it's a Big Lebowski reference. Gotcha. Okay. No, I got you.
Remind me never to be funny again.
No, it's okay. I much prefer Jeff Bridges in The Big Lebowski because I didn't really care for Obadiah's character all that much. I honestly I think he was the weakest part of the whole movie.
As an antagonist or
as an antagonist. I don't think his acting was bad. I just thought his the villain to Tony Stark, just really boring, basic. I want money. I want the company. And correct me if I'm wrong, was the movie trying to set him up as a twist, oh my god, it was Obadiah the whole time?
I think they were trying.
But it was also heavily hinted at from the very beginning.
I think from the minute they show his character on screen, he's on a magazine, and then he gets pushed to the back by Tony.
He doesn't look happy anymore.
He's going to be the villain.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they were trying to be all oh, surprise, we gotcha, it was Obadiah. The minute I watched the movie, I'm like, okay, he's gonna be fighting Obadiah at the end, isn't he?
Well, because there's no really other red herrings or anyone else it could be.
Well, I feel like they even.
They set it up for the terrorists to kind of be the main antagonist. What is the name of that group?
The Seven Circles.
10 circles.
10 circles.
7 circles.
7.
Is it 10
It's 7.
or 7? Oh, I thought it was
7,
10.
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I think they were really setting up for them to be the main antagonist, but then they were adding a different layer of the mentor to the main character to it. But
because the reason I think that they were treating it like a twist was because I think they set up the red herring as being this terrorist guy, this bald terrorist guy, and then Obadiah kills him and 30 other people.
Yeah.
And it's oh my god, Obadiah! It was you the whole time?
Yeah, no,
I'm already correcting myself. You are right. It's the 10 rings, not circles.
Oh, okay.
But I mixed myself up in my later notes.
No, you're good. You're good. Yeah, I didn't. Obadiah was just so one note for me. Oh yeah, he wants power.
He also probably was jealous of Tony Stark too. With his money and everything.
Yeah.
Also, we didn't even touch on this in the beginning. Tony Stark is really freaking smart. An absolute genius.
Yeah, that's his character.
His father worked on the Manhattan Project, and in the award ceremony, they hint that Tony, at an early age, built his first circuit board at 10 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't it the Avengers where the quote comes from? The billionaire playboy, or genius billionaire playboy philanthropist or whatever one of those guys.
Yeah.
I think it's the Avengers that does that quote for the first time. But they do hint at it. They do hint at a lot of adjectives when it comes to Tony Stark.
I like
Yeah.
the line more towards the end of the movie where he's trying to get these scientists to recreate Tony Stark's work, and they're
Oh,
like,
yeah.
"Sorry, we're not Tony
Yeah,
Stark."
sorry,
and
I'm not Tony Stark.
Jeff Bridges
Yeah.
is like, "He built this in a cave with scrap metal," and like, I like that line because
Yeah.
it really like
What you want me to do, man?
emphasizes.
For me, it felt
how
like a
smart he
lot
is.
like a student film, that scene, because of like how his tone shifted to just him yelling, but
Yeah.
it didn't feel fluid at all.
I noticed that too. Like he went from calmly like, look at this, to da 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 da, like yelling.
And the scientist looked a lot like me whenever I'm in one of those situations in a
The-
film movie.
Yes. What I noticed about that, they're all wearing like lab coats, like it's a high school play. Like,
do!
Like, oh, how would we know they're scientists? I don't know. Put lab
Yeah.
coats on them. It's like
yeah.
Dr. Doofenshmirtz. Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I don't know why that really got to me. I'm like,
It makes-
really?
yeah.
You can't convey that there's scientists in any other way than having every person in the room here have like a white surgeon's lab coat on? Like, I don't know why. I don't know why that bothered me.
It makes me wonder if that doctor was like a cameo or something, or like something they were trying to do, because that scene feels really out of place.
It kind of does, yeah.
Like especially with like, you know, all of them wearing lab coats and like the big bad guy just marching in and being like, I want this now. Like it's just it was that, I feel like, yeah, if there's one scene that I could pick out that was a bit iffy in my brain, it's that one.
I like that line of dialogue though.
Yeah, the like, I'm not Tony Stark.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the main reasons.
I think
that
them
scene
catching
exists.
I think that him catching Pepper was not very natural at all, because for all he knew, the documents that she downloaded could have been like something that Stark asked her to run and grab for him.
Oh yeah, that was
and,
really.
then he just freaks out and then starts chasing after
That
her.
was so funny. Tony Stark literally tells her, "Oh, I need you to go hack into the mainframe."
And then she just goes and does it.
She just drags a file onto a USB.
And then it says download complete, and then Stain's all like, "Oh, they know."
Yeah. Oh,
Time to
just-
go
could've
kill
just
Tony.
She could have just been downloading some JPEGs, man.
God, I
Like,
thought that
there
was so
no way
funny.
that he could have known.
Download
Tony wanted
complete.
to get his
Oh.
his adult folders back home.
hack into the mainframe.
That
Oh.
like movie made computer screen is always is just so funny.
It
like
really
it's
is.
whenever like a movie makes a fake digital screen,
They're
like
so
they can't
funny.
use like they can't use like an actual phone screen, because obviously like
It'd be
copyright,
advertised
for that
the
operating
advertising
system.
for that, OS.
Though they did advertise Apple in the movie, so I don't know why they didn't use that for the
Do we
background.
want to talk about the product placement now? We've been hinting at it since the beginning.
Sure. Actually, I don't think it's as egregious as we're making it out to be.
I mean,
Personally,
yeah, it's not like it makes the movie
I just-
terrible.
Well, Burger
just kinda
King and
thought it was
MySpace
funny.
were the ones that were the most pushed. I'd say.
Burger King annoyed me. Burger King legitimately
That one
annoyed
wasn't very
me.
natural.
Oh, I get back from 3 months in Afghanistan. What's the first thing that Tony Stark, millionaire philanthropist, playboy model, goes to do?
He literally
goes
says-
to Burger King.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Get a Big Mac for $10.99 today. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
At
my
McDonald's, Burger King.
yeah.
the
and
two things that he wants when he
but
comes
yeah.
back from Afghanistan
He says,
is a press conference and a cheeseburger.
yeah.
But let's get that Burger King cheeseburger first.
Wait.
He didn't actually say
He said,
Burger
"Let's
King.
go to Burger King" before they left, I believe.
No, I don't think he, or maybe I know like the bag
They had
that
the-
he gets
they
handed.
had the bag
like,
in
that,
frame,
That is
yep.
like the bag, like that has
Yeah.
Burger King on it. But I don't think he actually said Burger.
I think that Stain also asks, "Oh, you got Burger King? Did you get one for me?" Like,
okay,
that's another
yeah,
thing that happened.
He's like, yeah, you got Burger King, like got one for me, like yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Legit question. If you got back from Afghanistan for 3 months and you had to go get a burger, where would you go?
I'd probably go to someplace local, but I'd probably prefer a curry.
Oh.
Honestly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
A good quality one.
Sure, sure.
yeah, I probably wouldn't go for like a fast food burger, but like if that's, I mean, if I really only had one option, I mean, Burger King does not sound like the worst option.
Yeah, Five Guys is for me. Five Guys all
I've
the
never
way.
had Five Guys.
I kind of want
It's
to
like a
just leave
$10
right now and go
cheeseburger,
get
but
Five
it tastes
Guys.
good.
Wow. Yeah.
Anyways.
What other product placement? You said MySpace.
There's a scene where they advertise Ray's Pizza when Stain is telling Tony that he's laid off for mental health. And
Was-
he's then like
that was like an actual
Was that
pizza
yeah?
brand?
Was that a
Yes.
real pizza
Oh.
brand?
It
I
is.
thought that was a fake one for
Me
a
too.
movie.
I was thinking that too. Like they just like printed a box.
Yeah, actually. And then there's Audi.
Yeah, Audi.
Car product placement.
I don't pay attention to cars because frankly I don't care about cars that
No,
much.
I'm gonna be real. I saw that online. I looked up like product placements in Iron Man. For
I
some
mostly
that I
wrote
missed,
down the
and-
ones I noticed myself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I personally never noticed the car ones, but now that I think about it, he does drive around an Audi car whenever
Yeah.
he's not.
Verizon, LG, and VTech were also there a lot.
Yeah, I guess because there's a lot of technology that goes on. Yeah.
Do you think product placement is inherently bad in a movie?
If it's done right, then it's all right, because if you have like a knockoff place, it's gonna bring the people out of the movie. But if it's like done fluidly, like it's natural, not like put in your face or anything like that, then it's fine.
Yeah.
If like half the movie becomes an ad for one product or for multiple products, then it gets kind of iffy.
Like
but-
Transformers with that beer scene where they
Transformers.
crash through a
Oh my
through a
God, it's-
billboard, and then he's just cracking a beer once he gets out.
It's atrocious.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
there's so much product placement in Transformers and all
This has
that.
better CGI than Transformers.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Honestly.
Those are some hot takes that we'll save for another day.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
speaking of technology, we can kind of talk about why Tony Stark became Tony Stark, like the arc reactor in his chest.
Yeah.
He was kidnapped by the Ten Rings, and they waterboard him, telling him to recreate a weapon he just shown off to the U.S. military, known as the Jericho missile, which is basically a cluster missile.
Basically.
They ask him to recreate that. They waterboard him a bit, and then it introduces him to a guy named what was his name? I believe it's like where is it? Whatever.
Yeah, it's a
Jensen.
very
Jensen.
kind,
Jensen,
very nice
Jensen,
doctor
yeah.
character.
Jensen was my
liked
favorite
him.
character in
I
the
liked
movie.
him so much.
Jensen's introduced. He is a doctor and a scientist. He saves Tony's life because Tony's bomb that he got blown up by in the beginning was one that was developed by him to have shrapnel that targets lethal organs slowly over time. And Jansen puts a electromagnet into Tony's heart to keep it away from all other organs because it goes through the bloodstream and it just keeps it in the heart.
Yeah.
Tony it says that when they go up to him and they're all like, "Oh, are you ready to create that missile now?" Tony's all like, "No," but he's shaking his head yes. And then Jansen and him go back to the cave where they're being held prisoner. And Tony starts building a miniature arc reactor to keep himself alive in place of the electromagnet and car battery.
Basically.
I really liked the cave scenes.
I did
that was
too.
the first half of the movie. I liked not far more, but I definitely liked the first half better than the second half of the movie.
The first half
can
ends
agree with that.
the first half ends with the the 10 rings digging up Tony's old suit.
Yeah.
So
I would say that's about that first half is I like that part.
Yeah, I like the cave scenes too. It really goes to show like how innovative Tony Stark is. Like he built an arc reactor.
That
an
wasn't even
entire
invented
suit
yet.
that wasn't even invented yet. Like I mean, granted, he did go to like the entire group and was like, I need this. I need a welding table. I need everything to be comfortable and I need everything to be well lit. But
I need
at the
casting
same time-
sand.
Yeah, but at the same time, like I couldn't do that. Like just build something in a cave like that. Like I'm nowhere near that smart in general. But like
I could probably do that.
Give me 5 minutes.
I'm just kidding. I'm not that.
Anyone want to take us up on that bet? Lock Jack in a cave for 3 days, see if he comes out with a big suit of armor.
That's
US
just me in my
military,
dorm
you know
room
where to
coming out
get
to do
'em.
the
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah, speaking of the cave, that is where the prototype Iron Man suit is built for
The
the
Mark
first time.
One
The
that
Mark
looks a
One.
lot like a knockoff Iron Giant.
It
Kind
really
of, yeah.
does. I mean, it's definitely like super big. Like the face shape really looks like the Iron Giant. Yeah.
While I really liked the cave scenes, like the first half of the movie, it was overshadowed by this thin like complaints of how on earth are they not seeing him build this literal Iron Giant robot machine
Yeah.
With their primitive cameras and primitive cell phones that aren't Verizon or
Actually, yeah. No, the bad guys don't use our trusted product placements.
Jeez, yeah.
No, yeah, it kept bothering me. And they do address it kind of, but like they rig a full on explosive to the door
Yeah,
when
they
they first
do.
open it, and like
made with
Nobody-
two propane cans and like sparker that was made with 2 live wires that were made to come into contact when they come past each other.
Wow.
Just as like a little bomb that's supposed to go off like on contact.
Yeah, because when it happens when they open the door, like when the two members open the door, it just explodes.
But like they didn't see that, like they didn't see
No.
them putting a bomb on the door, like or just even building it in general. I don't know, things
well,
like
I mean,
that.
they were
They
only
are
given
supposed to be
a day.
building a bomb.
They are
supposed to be building a bomb,
But yeah, and then they also had like this happened over the course of like a day. Like he built that entire suit of armor in under 24 hours.
Well, he had it mostly built. He was pretending that they were rocket parts that he was building.
Right.
Oh,
He
I
had
thought-
those onion layered sheets of paper that looked like rocket plans. However, like when you laid them over each other, it was plans for a suit. So he's building the parts separately.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, yeah, but still, like in that same time frame, like
He had to button it up.
He was kept in that cave for 3 months, and then
Yeah.
he eventually uses the suit to break out of the cave and break free.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the doctor he's with doesn't
Jansen.
make it, and
Oh,
I was
yeah.
really sad because I liked him a lot.
He was
Yeah.
all like, Tony was all like, "Oh, you need to get out and see your family." He's like, "My family's already dead. I am going to see them. This was
That
the
was-
plan all along,
That
Tony."
was I kind of hinted at I thought about that from the beginning when they first said like, so like where's your family, and he's like, I will see them when I'm done with this, and I'm like, oh, they're dead. His
Yeah.
family is entirely dead, and he thinks he's not gonna make it out of here alive.
Do any of us know why Jensen was even in that cave to begin with?
He was captured for being an intelligent mind and was likely being like conscripted to try making bombs as well.
Okay.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Also, he was probably kept alive because he was the only one that knew how to keep Tony from dying.
I was gonna say, I was gonna
and
say.
probably could translate, and he translated as well. Like,
Yeah.
when the normal guys like
And
didn't
then
speak a
when
word of English.
And then when the terrorist leader was trying to feed him hot coals as a form of
Ooh.
torture and
Yeah.
and execution, then Tony was all like, "I need him. He's my assistant," and then that's why they kept him alive.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying,
I thought
man.
that was really nice.
These
like,
Marvel movies were darker back
Yeah.
in the day.
When he pulled out the hot coal, I immediately like diverted my eyes. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a legitimate form of torture in that part of the world.
Yeah. Wow.
But anyways,
So
moving on.
let's jump forward. Let's jump forward a little bit. So
Yeah.
Tony escapes Afghanistan,
Yep.
and he comes home to
Ask for his burger and press conference.
ask for his burger and press conference to a very, very concerned Pepper Potts and a fairly indifferent Stain.
Obadiah. Yeah.
Like,
Oh, you're back.
And then he
How are you
on.
back?
yeah, he
I
uses
thought you were dead.
he uses the press conference he asks for along with his cheeseburger to basically tell the world that he's going to shut down the weapons company.
He saw what his weapons were
He
doing
saw
to
what his
people.
weapons were doing to people, and
He experienced it
I was gonna
firsthand.
say he literally almost died by his
He
own
literally,
weapons,
yeah.
which is
He's
a
got
nice
to
little
see
bit of
how, like,
dramatic irony. that
How
I appreciate.
violent and painful some of his weapons were, because that bomb was made specifically to go through the bloodstream over the course of a week and kill them.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh, well, this is really not what I want to be doing anymore."
Right. Yeah. Which
Let's
is a,
move on to more humane.
Right, which is a
positions.
nice. I like that. That character development, I suppose.
Yeah.
After he like witnesses like his own horrific actions.
Basically,
he,
yeah.
like,
He goes from playboy to humanitarian
To
in like an
cave boy.
instant.
Okay.
From cave boy to humanitarian.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I do like that. He has like he physically has to take responsibility for these weapons that he makes, and then
Yeah.
that's
And that's why he builds Iron Man, so he could destroy his own creations.
Yeah.
yeah.
But Stain's having none of it. He's saying like, no, we are a weapons company.
Well, this
We
is
need
where all
to-
our profits have
this
been
is
for
where
the
all our
past like
profits are.
60 years.
Yeah.
This is where the money is. Don't you see? Money is everything.
So
yeah.
was he initially building the Iron Man costume for a weapon thing? Because I got the impression that he wasn't, and after this
For
reporter,
Stain, he was planning on selling it to the U.S. military as the next big Manhattan project.
was he? Okay.
Yes.
I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't really pick up
And then
on
he
that.
got in the
It's
suit
just-
because he knew that the jig was up.
Well,
no,
no,
and-
because he got like the reporter was like, "Oh, you're a bad person again, aren't you? Even though I just slept with you a couple nights ago. And then he's like, oh, shoot.
Not even
more-
a couple
that
nights ago.
reporter.
That was like
I hated that
that was
reporter.
4 or
That
5 months
reporter
later.
was very,
Yeah,
she
but
came
still,
out of nowhere.
I hated
Yeah.
her.
She came out of
She's at the
nowhere.
beginning, she's in the middle, and she's at the end. And every single time she's like,
Every time
Tony
she's
Stark,
trying to twist words.
Tony Stark,
really
why are you
is.
such a horrible human being? And how do you sleep at night? Look at these photos I have. And then
Yeah.
she's like,
I
oh
sleep
yeah,
like
but
a
like
baby. Do you lose any hours? Well, I might lose a few with you. And then they it cuts to an immediate scene.
I hate, she just pops up and is like, Tony Stark, why do you suck? And he's like, oh man, I guess I do suck. I should probably do something. And then like
Yeah.
literally like those are the initial like things for the whole movie. Like I don't know. I just
And
He already was fighting, I thought, when the second time she shows up.
no,
Because
he was at the.
it was because he was making modifications to the suit, and then he was about to make it go red. He hadn't fought yet. I just remembered that bit.
Yeah.
He had already built the chrome suit, the Chrome Mark II, and
yeah, he painted it red like right before he went
Yeah.
to like the fireman's gala.
and then
Yeah,
like
that's right,
she
actually.
showed him the images, and he was like, "Oh, great! Now I know exactly where I need to go with the suit as soon as I get it done painted."
Well, because what I got like the implication of was that he didn't know, and then he gets home and he's just like, "Ugh, they're still selling weapons. God, I'm so angry. I'm gonna do a little fist like hand charge," and then it breaks a window and he looks down and he's like, oh
I
my
have
god,
power.
I have power. And
He
then
used
he
his
makes like
thrusters as a weapon.
yeah, and then he makes modifications. So I got the impression that he was like he had no intention of doing this until he like suddenly realizes that he can, and then
He was
goes
already,
to do it.
I believe he was already starting to plan it, but he hadn't figured out weapons yet because he knew that type of suit would make him impervious to most weapons. So that's why he was building out of the titanium gold alloy and all that after the chrome version, because the titanium gold alloy was hinted at that, well, in real life it is as well, used for satellites to make it so that they don't freeze up when exiting the atmosphere.
We have neglected to talk about a very, very good character. Not maybe not necessarily good, but definitely a very prevalent character. Speaking of the reporter, I completely forgot that Pepper Potts and Tony Stark were not actually married in this movie because because when all of a sudden she walks out in his shirt after spending the night
After
with Tony
doing
Stark.
the dirty with
Yeah.
Tony
Ooh,
Stark.
ooh.
This is all from back before he was even in the cave.
And then this is like back before all the entire flashback, and then Pepper shows up, and I'm like, oh, he's doing this behind his wife's back, and then it was
No.
like, oh, never mind, no, he's Pepper.
She was just the maid,
yeah.
basically.
Pepper
Secretary
started out
maid.
as basically Tony Stark's assistant. I hesitate to say like servant or anything like that because she really
Yeah.
wasn't. Like she was just kind of like there for help.
Assistant, I guess.
Assistant,
Yeah.
probably. Like I also hesitate to say like intern. 'Cause, like she's not trying to be like him.
Yeah.
She's just kind of there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I
And then she
Actually,
refers
she's
to
just
that
kinda there.
to that gal that he was sleeping with as garbage because she's the one that's in charge of taking out the trash.
Yeah.
she does do that.
Yeah, that
when
was
that,
kinda
when that
funny.
reporter was done just ragging on her, saying that she's basically useless if she hasn't gotten anywhere yet.
Yeah, I did not like that reporter. She
No,
was,
she
she was
sucked.
mean.
No,
she
she
was
sucks.
really mean.
I hated whenever
Yeah.
she came back into
Yeah,
the movie.
we're kind of running out of time, so maybe let's
little
kind of
bit.
speed through the rest of the plot a little bit, like
Did-
just some of the last parts of it.
One other part. Did you guys like Tony Stark's relationship with Pepper Potts? Because I, for one, found it really lame and just totally like underdeveloped. They didn't have much chemistry with each other. I don't
Well, that's how it
personally think.
started.
I feel like there were some parts where it worked, like when she made him the little trophy of like his first arc reactor, like proof that Tony Stark has a heart.
Yeah,
That
she
that
liked
was
to
cute.
jab at him.
That
a
felt
lot.
kinda
she likes-
cheesy.
Yeah, and then like when she was helping him with the arc reactor,
I
like
liked
when they
Slowly
replaced,
over time,
that-
they grow closer
yeah.
and closer in personality.
That showed chemistry, but like all the scenes at the dance, I was like, and then especially her Pepper Potts' part at the end, outside of being with Coulson, it just didn't work for me. Like it just really didn't. Like she was just running around in heels and like not really knowing what to do.
Just whenever she was back on screen or they were like attempting to have like these little character interactions, I just could not. I couldn't stand it.
I would say that her acting early on wasn't the best.
Her acting was, it was a little questionable. I hesitate
Yeah.
to say bad.
Oh,
but
is that some sort of special key? No, it's a freaking breach bomb.
Yeah, that was the worst line delivery in the whole movie. Oh wow, what's that? Some kind of little key? What's it gonna like pick the lock or something? What's it gonna do? And then like
Step aside, miss.
Yeah. Oh my god, it was awful.
Yeah,
I want to
like,
cover your ears.
Yeah. I didn't feel like there was anything special about that other than we need Tony Stark to have a love interest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
At
really
least to
like
me,
Phil
anyway.
Coulson too. I like
Oh,
Coulson.
yeah,
He's
Phil
really
Coulson's
cool.
good.
And also Jarvis.
Yep,
The man.
Jarvis.
I mean, not really a man. He's more of just a robot voice.
The machine.
Yeah,
Machine.
disembodied voice.
Yeah. There's a lot of really, really good characters in this movie, but yeah, I do have to agree. I don't know if all of Pepper Potts' lines were necessarily great. Like, I remember when she first catches him coming back from when because Tony Stark actually goes back to Afghanistan with the new suit that he has, like, after he upgraded from Mark 1. And he goes back to the village after seeing what the reporter had shown him about, like, what's happening there, like all of the infighting with the 10 rings. With the 10 rings. They and then he goes back and just takes them all, like takes out the entire
Murders them.
Yeah, he straight up just kills half of their
Yeah,
squad.
and then like keeps the villagers alive and like all the kids, and because that scene was really, really jarring to like watch the young kids like running for their dad and watching their dad get beaten. I'm sitting there
when
like,
you're used to these new Marvel movies.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, these movies were so much more gritty.
yeah,
and, like,
it's really weird.
Yeah.
He
Just-
gets back, and then Pepper walks in on him, and he's all like, "Well, you've walked in on me
Yeah,
doing
you
worse."
face it, this is not the worst thing you've caught me doing. And then she goes, "Are those bullet holes?"
Yeah.
The
Well,
weirdest
technically they aren't
delivery.
holes; they're just dents.
They're just dense. But yeah, wow.
Yeah.
He also, like, with the flight stuff, like, I want to cover how the first time he starts flying, national security should have noticed it, but they didn't. But that's because plot reasons. They don't want the superhero to be caught, like, right away.
Yeah.
And then the second time, they attack him when he's flying back from Afghan. And then he gets hit by one of them and then rips off their wing with his very body. And then he saves the life of the pilot while they're trying to shoot him down.
That was really cool. I like that. I thought he was gonna like actually pick him up and like take him, but like no, he just like activated the parachute because it was jammed.
And then the third time, the national security notices him in the same place that they didn't notice him in the first place. And then like War Machine at that point knows that it's Tony and is all like, "Hey, it's just a test."
Yeah. I really liked War Machine. Rhodey's really cool. I especially liked when he got Tony suited up to go after Stain.
And also then they hinted at him becoming War Machine.
They hinted
He's
at
all
him
like,
becoming War
"Oh,
Machine.
next time."
Next time.
After
That
seeing
was
the
my
chrome.
favorite. That was my favorite. That was so cool.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I
Next
liked
time,
him.
baby.
Next time, baby. That's so good. Yeah. There was also one more thing if we wanted to. I mean, the movie ends well. Like, Tony Stark doesn't die. Like, he
should have, because
he
he was out of suit while Stain was more in suit than he was, and they both got blown up by the same thing. And Obadiah died instantly, and Tony survived 2 explosions.
Yeah, that was like, wow, how are you alive?
That kind of made me angry. Like, at least, like, be consistent. He probably got more of a direct blast than Obadiah did. Obadiah just kind of got, like, lightning from the outside.
but
and
then-
then,
He would have been
Obadiah-
like crisp on the outside, like on the front of him, like his face and chest. But Tony would have been crisp on most of his body.
But Obadiah fell into the reactor.
Yeah, and
Right.
then that
The
caused the
reactor
second
exploded.
explosion.
but then the whole place explodes, and Tony's
And
just
then
sitting
Tony's just
there.
lying
Still on the
there,
okay,
Yeah.
So
that
the
bothered me.
movie ends well. Tony Stark lives. Pepper survives as well, and
Shield
then
tries to cover it up.
Shield
Tony
tries to
breaks
cover
it
it
by
up.
just saying,
Tony
"I am
doesn't.
Iron Man," and then it cuts the credits.
Yeah, they were like we're gonna try. They wanted to try to do like a Spider-Man, like no one knows, like it's Peter Parker, but don't tell anybody.
But Playboy Tony,
but
he wants to
Playboy
be
Tony,
known.
it's
Yeah.
like, I am Iron Man. Like screw the alibi, I'm Iron Man. But
Yeah.
one thing really quickly because we're going a bit over time, but one thing that I wanted to kind of work into the new Marvel episodes that we're doing, because obviously that's your series.
Oh yeah.
I wanted to have a series or a little bit talking about the Stan Lee cameos of this movie,
Sure,
of these
yeah.
movies, because
This one was Playboy Stanley.
Stan Lee shows up as Hugh Hefner at the fireman's ball for the Starks, and I mean Stanley just deserves so much credit. Like
I love Stanley,
he was
yeah.
such a great guy. Rest in peace. Like he's so wonderful. I mean, how long has it been? Like
It's been like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, it's probably been a couple or.
I was
sure.
like first year, like I was in like my sophomore year of high school when I learned about everything like that. But
He died during the production of Infinity War, I believe.
yeah, he died during the production of Infinity War. But yeah, Stan Lee was just such an amazing guy.
Yeah, he was a really great guy. I can learn a lot from Stan Lee. Yeah.
We miss him dearly.
They
So-
pre-recorded him at least for Endgame, so
Yeah, they got quite.
he
a
probably
few
knew that he
before.
was about to go, so he wanted to pre-record it.
Yeah, it was really nice seeing him in this movie too. Like seeing him like in the cameo and just thinking like, wow,
That's the first one.
it's the first one. That's the first ever Stan Lee cameo. And
Actually, he's like in some of the previous Marvel movies, like those kind of really awful Fantastic Four movies that came out.
yeah,
He's cameos in those ones too.
Oh, okay.
So it wasn't his first, but it's one of his earliest.
You mean like
it's his first
the
in
Chris Evans Fantastic Four?
Yep, that
Oh.
one. It's his first in this Marvel universe. I'm being
Yeah.
nitpicky, stupid.
All
but-
right.
Okay.
yeah.
Then yeah, so that will be a series that we will work in the more episodes that we're on doing Marvel.
Yeah.
So I think let's cut to our last break very, very quickly and then come back and do some rapid fire trivia before we gotta clear out of here.
Sure, we'll be
All
right
right.
back.
All right, we're back and time for some rapid fire trivia.
All right.
Heck
So
yeah.
do you want me to start or you?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. How many pieces make up the Iron Man suit?
Oh boy. like armor body pieces?
Yeah.
Well, considering each piece has like loads of different smaller pieces, it's probably gonna be well into like tens of thousands.
Maybe not that many.
I'll
but
guess 30.
But costume-wise, it's probably gonna be far less.
It's roughly 450 separate pieces make up the Iron Man suit.
Holy.
For the costume, I'm guessing.
Probably, yeah. I mean, IMDb wasn't that specific.
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
all right.
weird. Okay, what other superhero movie was Jon Favreau supposed to direct instead of Iron Man?
Was it Marvel?
Yes, it was Marvel.
I
Was
don't
it
remember what
Spider-Man?
came around.
It was
this
not
time.
Spider-Man.
Okay.
Nope.
I don't remember what came out around this time. Was it around? It was probably around this time, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Think
Was
of
it
like
Captain America?
It was
There are only
Captain
so much-
America.
Okay,
Yep.
second
Oh.
guess.
the
Winter
the first
Soldier?
Captain America movie.
Oh. Oh no, Winter Soldier's the second one, isn't it?
Yep.
No.
Yep. Yeah, he was lined up to direct that, but things got switched around and he ended up directing this movie.
Nah.
So, which I'm sure really boosted his career. So,
Mhm. He ended up becoming Tony Stark's assistant.
Yeah. Okay. What two other actors or famous Hollywood actors were interested in playing Tony Stark?
Oh, shoot.
I have no idea because they didn't succeed.
Was
And yeah, I'm glad they chose Robert Downey Jr. in the end.
was Tom Hanks one of them?
No, but you're
Oh.
close.
Oh, not Tom Hanks. Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise is one of them.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yep.
Do you want to guess the second one, or do you want me to just read down?
Was it Leonardo
Nicolas
DiCaprio?
Nicolas Cage?
Nicolas
Oh, I was just
Cage.
throwing that out
It
there.
was,
Wow.
it was Nick Cage and Tom Cruise were the
Imagine
two other
Nicolas Cage is
Oh
Iron
my god, that would have been awesome.
completely different movie.
What a way! He's already Ghost Rider.
Oh. And he's also the father and parents, I think it's called.
yeah, Mom and Dad. Yeah.
Yeah, Mom and Dad. I hated that movie.
All right. Can you name one of the other directors who were approached to direct this film before Jon Favreau?
Oh
Stan
God,
Lee?
probably not.
One is a very household big name director. One has also worked on other Marvel movies, and then one I don't know.
Michael Bay.
Not Michael Bay. No,
Is Leonardo DiCaprio one of them?
no, he doesn't direct.
Oh, yeah.
Oh. All right, I give up.
Tarantino was
Quentin
approached actually.
Tarantino.
Yeah. He wasn't interested, but they approached him about directing it. And then Joss Whedon, who directed
Oh.
Age of Ultron, and then
Okay.
It should have been directed by Danny DeVito.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Speaking of directors, what big Hollywood director has called this movie his favorite Marvel movie?
Would it be Danny DeVito?
No.
Oh.
M. Night Shyamalan.
No. It was Michael Bay.
Oh, of course it was Michael Bay.
I just mentioned it because it was written in my notes and I didn't
He
know.
probably loved it because he made Transformers.
Actually,
Yeah.
of course it was Michael Bay. All right. My last question: does War Machine come back in any of the later Marvel films?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Is he played by the same actor?
No. No, he's not.
Can you name the new actor?
Oh,
No.
shoot. Oh, no. Oh, I don't know his name.
I'm terrible with names.
Me
yeah,
too.
it's Don Cheadle.
Don Cheadle.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about. Yeah, I know his face. I just forgot his name. Yes.
Yeah. No, War Machine literally comes back, as it was hinted in this movie. But
It's
the
been
actor
so
that
long.
did
The actor
it
that was
doesn't
in
get to do
changes.
it. So
It's been so long that the face is fuzzy in both 2 and 3.
yeah.
Okay. My last question. How did director Jon Favreau celebrate getting his role as director for this movie?
He got super drunk.
No.
Did he throw a huge party the way that they do in the movie?
No, he did not. He went on a diet and lost 70 pounds.
Wow. What?
Was he anorexic or something?
Well, I mean,
I-
he was just on a good diet. Like, he probably was just
Wow.
doing, he was proud
Probably
of himself.
keto.
I suppose. I mean, he's in the movie.
Yeah.
So
All right, let's give our final thoughts and final reviews.
final thoughts. It is definitely an early Marvel movie. I think Marvel has come a long way since its humble origins. For what it was at the time, I think it definitely did its job well. And you can definitely go back now and watch it and probably get some moderate enjoyment out of it. For me, I was kind of bored during parts of it. It felt a little bit long. I didn't think the characters were anything too great. And now I really can just appreciate it. Okay, this movie is the reason why there are so many other Marvel movies now that I really enjoy. But I can't say I really ever want to watch this again, honestly. So I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10.
All right. I guess for me, I'm going to kind of second a couple things that you said. Like, this is definitely a very early age Marvel movie. I mean, I wouldn't say it's any worse than some of the ones that have come out recently, but it is definitely like the origins of everything Marvel related. It did set forth some of the Marvel tropes that we see now in the newer movies, like the inside helmet shots, POVs, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it is definitely very important, and I'm very glad that this movie exists. I feel like the acting was done very well, special effects very good for 2008.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give this one a modest 8 out of 10.
Okay.
Do you want to give your final thoughts and reviews?
Well, I think that if this movie wasn't as successful as it was, it wouldn't have. There wouldn't be the Marvel movies. I still enjoyed it. While it still has some things products of their time, I still believe that it holds up pretty well if you look over those things. If you look past them, there were a few plot issues, but other than that, everything else was pretty solid. The plot issues were there for reasons. And yeah, I'm also going to have to give it an 8 out of 10.
All right.
All right.
So that's it from us for the night. This was a really, really fun episode. I really enjoyed this.
This
so
was, yeah.
Thank you for recommending this, Noah.
Yes, thank you so much
Yeah.
for coming on.
Yeah,
We hope to have you back in the future
Yeah.
if you're still up for it.
Yes. So just as a bit of an update, we will be having an episode coming this next Monday on the Da Vinci Code, but because of having Thanksgiving, there will not be an episode this coming Friday. So
Correct.
Stay tuned for the episode of the Da Vinci Code coming on Monday, and then after that, stay tuned for whatever we've got for the Monday after that.
Our YouTube is all caught up to date now, so you can
Yes.
watch every single episode that we've done up until the ones that we're doing right now. The live episodes, the live episodes should come out. The live episodes should come out fairly soon. Just got to get them edited. So
Yes.
give it about a 2-3 day break in between from now and then.
We are all. See, now you've got it to me. You're giving me the bad way of speaking. We are also working on getting a Spotify feed up and running so that we can put our episodes out on more different platforms. But nothing is really set in stone with that yet. So stay tuned.
Yep.
Anyway, that's enough from us. So
all right, we'll be back on Monday.
Have a great night, everybody.
Good night.